And there we go. First of the 10th, 08. So that must have been the last time these were off. Right, for those who are wondering what I am doing perched high up above St Anne's, I am doing some patch pointing to the belfry on St Anne's Parish Church. Pretty much it. Nothing really exciting. Anyway, so that's pretty much that one done. So you've seen the process of it being in the workshop, having a little bit of work done on it, and you've now seen it in its new home. Now this surround came out of a house in Ansdell on the Fylde coast, where it had sat for 150 years, somewhere around that mark. When I got it, it was covered in thick white paint, as you've probably seen in the video already. So I cleaned it all off. If I remember rightly, I think I sandblasted this one. However, I then polished it with graphite. We drilled out a snapped off bolt. We put in 2 new bolts to the little grate down there. And of course, fitted it. Built a nice
right, chaps, there you go. That's the chimney breast. Now on and finished.
And there you go, it's all washed off now. So that's back to 1864. That's the original lime bedding in there. There's no cement mortar left on it at all now. So hopefully this can start to dry out. It'll take it quite a while though. 9 inches of saturated brickwork to try and dry. But it's not going to get repointed for quite some time yet, so there's plenty of time to get that air around it and dry out. Right, I'm going home because it's going dark. I'm cold, I'm wet. I'm ready for a hot shower and something to eat, so we shall see you tomorrow. Well, there you go. Just coming up for the end of the day, and all I've got left to do is to tack that pointing above with a churning brush and put the cherishing sheets on. So, bit of a slow day really, but I've got to say it does look better than it did with that horrible black paint on it. And there's the little brick slips that I've cut. Now these are cut out to some of the original bricks that were scrap, because can you see all this patterning and the marks etc in it? If you look at these are what we're trying to match up. That's why I chose to use some of the offcuts to match it in, because there is quite a few of them next to each other and I don't want them looking, you know, too new, obviously. So what we do now, we bed them in with a bit of lime mortar, which you shall see now. On stone. As you've probably noticed with it, I've cut away the paint and taken a little bit of stone off with the old raking chisel. I'm now going to use this, the old 5-inch diamond cut disc, and I'm going to take a fair old amount off this stone now with that, and slowly but surely get it all lovely and flat and smooth again, going through the process, as I'm sure you've all seen on my videos in the past, of getting it like a new piece. Right, let's get it done. The cup discs are quite violent when it comes to the sandstone, and they do tend to rip them up quite a bit. But bear in mind, once it's had this over it, we will be going over it again with I'll start with a 60 grit flapper disc, then reduce it down to a 40 grit, and then finish off with a 40 grit sanding disc.
You can see how easily the cut disc is flattening the stone off. I mean, like I say, it's not going to be flat smooth, but it's getting rid of all of the deep pitting, or the majority of the deep pitting. Now when you're doing this, you need to keep the cut disc as flat as you can to the stone. You don't want to be sort of tipping it side to side or anything like that. And try and, where you can, go around in like a very slow circular motion with it as well, as you can see there. I'm just using the level as a straight edge to see if we're managing to get the dip out there, which we were doing. Right, so I've just put the straight edge on the stone. The stone itself is actually quite flat. It's the brickwork that's got a bit of a in it, so I can tap them back. Because they're loose now, obviously, but wedged. So I can tap them back, so it's just a case of recutting this, and then the very deep pieces, I'm going to cut squares out, and I'm going to stick some new pieces of stone in, go over it again, mill it all in, get it nice and flat, and then sand the whole thing. You can see here I'm doing a circular motion with the cut disc, rather than going sort of backward and forwards or up and down. It's a nice slow circular motion. Okay, you see these little bits here. They're a bit too deep to get out with the cutter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them square, and I'm going to stick some pieces of stone in and then mill it off. Best we can do with it, really. There's 2 or 3 really bad ones. Right, there you go. Cut out 2 little squares. I've got another one over the other side to do, but obviously I'm not going to show you chopping out loads of stone. Right, you can see that the edge here is pretty knackered. It's all chipped and knackered. So I've kind of chopped it back a little bit, and what I've done, I've drawn a pencil line with a level, got it nice and level, and I'm now going to cut that with a very thin stone cutting blade. It's a diamond blade. We very gently rake it away, and we're going to use the old beaver tail and the old You can see how easily that breaks away now, and it's leaving that lovely clean edge. Better doing it this way than trying to cut it straight with the chisel. A lot more work involved doing that. All of the stone is now recut, and some may be thinking, does it need to be treated with anything? Well, no, because it's now as good as the stone was when it was first quarried, worked and installed into this building. A mason's chisel. Old raking chisel. I'm going to cut it to the back now with the raking chisel, and then we put the cut disc back onto it. New pencil line on, cut disc on, follow the pencil line and get the whole thing straight and level rather. Right, so we made a bit of progress. I've cut some pieces of stone. I said it's better than the repair that somebody had done with the old sand and cement. And of course it's better for the stone as well. Right, so the next stage is go over it with a flapper disc and try and start smoothing things out. There you go, finished result. That's the best we're going to get, that one. Like I say, it was a bit buggered really. What we're going to do now, we're going to put the lid on it and let it cook. Right, we've got about 25 minutes now with it cooking. It's now stopped bubbling and making noise. So let's have a look and see how it's done. Well, looks like it's cooked, which is good. There we go, that's the first coat on. A bit messy, the first coat. Of course, when you're applying your scratch coat, you want it as thin as you can get it. So don't forget, you put the float coat on top of this, and then you put the finish on. So this has to be really thin. You wanted it to really bite into that brickwork, so you're pushing it on hard and you're giving it thin. And there we go. End of the day. Bear in mind, that's just a scratch coat, that. Up there. And the other side of the chimney breast up there with it. Okay, you can see now I've got my timbers on with a bit of polythene behind it, but no polythene in between them. Because if there is going to be moisture, we want it to come out. We don't want it to stay in there. Polythene can make it condensate, and that's going to rot the stone, which we don't want. You know, let's face it, let's do it right. So next, we're going to start putting the lats on. Just keep repeating the process until we get to the top. As simple as that. We've got all this lovely air gap behind it to let any moisture circulate and escape. Okay, there you go. All the lats are on. A decent shot up there because the sun's shining right through that window at the minute. So I've got all that done. I've made and fitted beads. You can see there on the corner, some little dowel beads I've got to whittle. And I've got all the lats on there as well as the framework. Got all this scratched on this week. And on the lats, etc. up there, I've got that scratched on too. Now I can't start running that cornice until this stuff's been on for at least a week. It really needs to dry out. Because if I don't let it, And there you go, that's pretty much all you do. And we leave that again now, probably for about another, well, I'd say probably another hour. And then maybe a bit of slight flatten, not too much, because we're going to go over it with a sponge float, which is what you do with lime plaster. It's not this modern thing where it's like sponge float, bottom coat and all that rubbish. It's spot on. As you can see, it's no different from troweling up your board finish or your multi-finish.
And that's coming up lovely. And that's all you do. So we'll do all this wall and then leave it again for about an hour and repeat the process, and that should be the final once over. Really what I tend to do is just dampen my trowel. I don't want loads of water on it. Because it's lime, what will happen is it'll keep fatting up. Because it's not carbonated yet. All it's done is basically it's set but not cured. So it's not carbonated. So you've got to watch how much water you put on. If you put too much on, you're just going to saturate the lime again and you're back to square one. And that's it, simple as that. That's the first trowel up done. I mean, that's exactly our forefathers. That's exactly how our forefathers would have done the lime plastering. No different. Same material, same method. The only thing they wouldn't have had would have been a sponge float, but they've had a sponge. So, same thing, isn't it, really? But they'd have had the whites on and the white apron on, flat cap, and then they'd have had the foreman or the clerk of works, and he'd have his suit on with his bowler hat, and he'd come in and he'd check everything that you're doing to make sure you've done it properly. So there we go. We'll get it finished tomorrow, and that's this job. Now you'll note behind me is the last wall now fired on. It's had 2 coats. So what's next? Sponge float. So we use a combination of a flat brush to wet the wall up. You can use a pump bottle if you prefer. And a sponge float. And we do the old figure of 8, run it all in, ready for flattening off and finishing. A rather large galvanised steel dustbin, and I've filled it partly with clean cold water. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit of quicklime to it, and the ratio is 2.5 buckets of water to 1 bucket of quicklime to make up our lime putty. Now we're going to add the lime slowly, because there's going to be a reaction now with the lime and the water. You have to be quite cautious with it. You see there, it's starting to bubble. You see now it's starting to react, starting to boil. This is going to get up to about 160 C, somewhere around that mark. So we'll get the lid on now for safety reasons. It really is, it's going to put some energy out now, this. Right, I'll give you a quick peek now on this massive, bubbling, red hot lime putty. It's a bit like your porridge in the morning, bubbling away there in that pan on the stove. Now there's no hot water or anything like that added to this. This is purely the thermal reaction that's caused by slaking the burnt limestone. So we'll leave that now for a good, I'd say a good 30 minutes to make sure everything's slaked. Okay, so we get our bucket trowel now and very gently there we go, look at that. Absolutely. Right, so we've got our bog standard mixing tub. Now you'll note that we're not adding any water. But what we are doing, we're going to very carefully use our little gauging bucket. And again, with caution, get your nice, freshly made lime putty into your tub. Now don't just tip it in and let it plop out, because if it goes in your eyes, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to spend the rest of your day with a white stick and a Labrador. Now we're going to put 4 of these putties into that tub. Now you've got to make sure that the tub you're using is full to the brim. No half measures. And again, carefully tip it in there, minding your eyes. I do recommend putting some eye protection on. I've not got mine with me, so I'm having to be very, very cautious. Yeah, that's number 3. And number 4. And just get the trowel to scrape out the pot. As you can see in the pot, you've still got quite a bit there. So because we're gauging it, we want it to be spot on. Right. The lid back on the line there. Okay. So that's your putty in your bucket. So next, I've already measured out my sand. So what I'm going to do now is tip my sand in there, like so. Nice and simple, no messing about, nothing to worry about. And then we just get the old panel mixer. Nip round the edges of the tub with the bucket trowel, same as you would with your gypsum finish. And there you go. That's your finishing plaster. Now I tend to leave it in the tub for another 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll just give it another quick thrutch with the old paddle mixer, and then it's ready to go on the walls, or ceilings indeed.